The focus of my advocacy is concern about judicial and legal integrity in Nigeria, an issue that continues to cause concern and has captured the public's attention. Across the nation, many Nigerians question whether the courts are truly fair and impartial, particularly when high-profile figures are involved. Public frustration with legal process and the judiciary has reached an all-time high, fueled by rulings in our courts that always seem to favor the powerful interests and by allegations of influence and corruption in many of our key legal processes. Recent reports have raised questions about corruption, inefficiency, and inconsistent application of the law in Nigerian courts. There are numerous allegations of cash paid for judgments, unnecessary delays in ruling, and a lack of transparency. This has completely eroded confidence in the judiciary. These challenges in our judiciary have real consequences. Their weak enforcement of our laws and perceived judicial bias undermine efforts to combat crime and protect human rights. For businesses and for individuals, the uncertainty in our legal system also stifles economic growth and has deepened social frustration and distrust. It is clear that to address judicial integrity, we will have to adopt a multi-pronged approach. We have to have stricter enforcement of anti-corruption laws, transparent case management systems, better funding, and training for the staff in the courts and for judges. And we need mechanisms to ensure accountability without undermining judicial independence. Civil society groups also call for greater public access to court processes and outcomes, as transparency is essential to rebuilding trust. Digitalization of court records, effective monitoring bodies, and community legal awareness programs are seen as key tools in this effort. Ultimately, strengthening Nigeria's judicial and legal integrity is more than just institutional reform. It is a safeguard for our democracy, for human rights, and for economic progress. Without urgent and sustained action, citizens of Nigeria will continue to perceive the courts as distant and inequitable, eroding the very foundation of the rule of law.
I've heard people say this somewhere. I had to write it down. And they tell you once the bench is compromised, every other reform collapses, right?
Yes.
And it's really sad because I know on this table we've talked about the judicial system and how important the judicial system is. Because if we lose it, which I don't know why I'm saying if we, because I feel like we've lost it already, but if we lose it, then there's no democracy really.
Yeah.
Because what is democracy without rule of law, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I think that this is a very important call to our leaders. You said something about there being a mechanism to ensure accountability without undermining the judicial independence. I don't know why you get into an office, a governor or a president just wakes up one morning and says he's buying SUVs for the judges. And some of us will say, oh, they deserve it, they're judges, but what is the law backing gifting in civil service? Why are you giving them that gift? Is this not inducement?
Yes.
And if, no matter how you want to paint it, we've seen governors do it, we've seen presidents do it. What is the reason for that gifting that you're doing? What are you rewarding? What is the process to saying this is a judge, he has done? Is it in their law, in their rule book to say they deserve this from a governor, or we are just spending taxpayers' money without asking a question? Also, I think the EFCC and ICPC and all the bodies that are supposed to fight corruption should do their job.
Yes.
Sometimes when people spend certain kind of monies, you don't even need to reach out to them before you begin to trace that money. And at the end of the day, when you follow the money, you follow where the issue starts from.
Yeah.
So if I'm supposed to earn a certain amount of money, but I am spending way beyond that money, and it's unexplainable, then we need to begin to open probes and wonder, where are you getting this money from?
I am concerned about solutions. So how do we find what's the next solution? Number one is, how do judges come to be?
Yes.
They come from the law system, from the lawyers themselves.
Yeah.
So, you know, from that process. MBA is very, very important in that process. So if we have bad lawyers, we're going to have bad judges. If we have corrupt lawyers, we're going to have corrupt judges, ultimately. So we have to look at the ethical systems in which lawyers themselves are, brought up, created. And so how do we make sure that the next generation of lawyers, because I think I've already given up hope on the ones that we have, the next generation of lawyers and judges are going to be ones that have high levels of integrity. Then the second one for me is the NJC. Currently,
Yes.
the NJC is the regulator.
Yes.
Okay, in that space.
In that space.
We knew when I think the Buhari administration tried probing the judges, and they went and arrested them, and and then the whole
Yes, they hit back.
Maybe the way they went about it had its own issues, but we saw the reaction that there was this conversation around independence of the judiciary. You cannot go and probe them. They are independent and all that. So if that's the case, if we accept that our system of government gives the judiciary their independence and they have to basically regulate themselves, then we need to, shed a lot of such light on the NJC.
Yeah.
How many judges are the NJC probed in the last 4 years, for instance? How many judges have been sanctioned, for instance? Can we see the evidence of that? Can we be transparent of things like that? Because if we don't do these things, we will be here. I was asking you the other time, how do we solve this problem? Because I don't know how to solve it. The judiciary is supposed to be the last bus stop.
Exactly.
Where everybody can go to and find justice.
Find justice. Yeah.
And if we can't do that because the system itself is corrupt, I don't know.
I'll start with the Bible verse that says, when there's no vision, the people perish. And then it goes to also, when there's no law and order, the system collapses. And if you look at Nigeria today, it is not just the presidency, it's not just the judiciary, it's not just the legislature, it's the judiciary. They are the final boss of, like you said. But we live in a society where influence matters over evidence.
Over everything.
Long as you know somebody, it doesn't matter the evidence that's been appeared. But one thing that we fail to recognize, which is the core of the problem, is the judiciary, they are not exempt, they don't live in a vacuum. They're not exempted from society. There are people who see what's going on within the system. There are people who live in the system that is insufficient, that they want to also have a certain kind of lifestyle within the system. Judiciary goes up, but like, what about the clerks and all of those people under that are not being paid properly, that would move your file under. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you have one small case. I had this case in court in 2014 over a land dispute with the developer and the landlord. Till today, 2014, till today, we're still going to court. Why? Do you get just what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like Ika said, the first question is, have we ever seen a judge being persecuted in Nigeria? Is there any evidence to that? If there's no system to hold them accountable, right? How can we trust the same people who are supposed to give us justice when there's nothing to actually hold them accountable when they don't give us those justice? Is there any, have we ever seen, I don't know, but have we ever seen any transparent disciplinary action that everybody gets to see that, okay, this person did this and this and this, and they're being held accountable. So I think the first thing here is, like Ika said, I don't know what the solution is, but we need to start getting them to understand that if Nigeria collapses, it's not the president, it is the judicial system.
Many scriptures, both in the Bible, in the Quran, and other religion books, had stated it clearly that God is interested in defending the poor. From the book of Job to Proverbs to Exodus 23 to Ecclesiastes. In fact, the one in Psalms 82 we interest to, he said, how long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Defend the poor and the fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and the needy. Deliver the poor and the needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. I mean, God expects us to be fair. Okay, now let's bring it down to the physical realm. The lady justice. I mean, the blindfold represents neutrality and impartiality. Do we have that today? The answer is capital no.
No.
The scales represent, careful weighing of evidences. It is here in Nigeria that they will. I've seen police officer chewing evidence before. Not be said entirely. Chewing, put down for say, go call your judge. It the chew in Nigeria, Then the sword talks about power and authority to be useful in a better way, in a fair way.
Yeah.
Do we have all this? No. The other time when I said, until we conquer our personal greed, our national greed will continue to collapse, people were laughing at me. You see, this skin, this DNA of ours, I don't know what we could do to ram. That it is so difficult for an average black man or Nigerian man to admit that, you know what, I am wrong. And I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
We just want to, you see, this, I better pass my neighbor lifestyle. I am greater than you.
Well, I mean, we can continue this conversation, and there's so many different views, and but all these points that have been made have been very, very, very good points made. Institutions like the judiciary are called pillars of society for a reason. We only have to see what happens when they crumble to understand why. Yeah.
The same could be said about the police and our security apparatus. There you go. I'll be taking things up from where you left off. Keep it locked, my people.